either younger than us or, past and retired. So why not? I want to challenge myself. The best always looking to fight the best and challenge themselves, and why not,
We can't beat him, right? This is a money grab for Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his...
If you study Floyd closely like I have, you will notice that he never wastes any steps while he's in.
Terence Crawford accepted Floyd Mayweather's fight challenge during a live interview with Stephen A. Smith, saying that boxing is about testing his limits and taking on the toughest challenges. He explained that the best fighters should always face each other and with calm confidence. He made it clear that stepping in with Mayweather is another chance to prove he belongs at the very top while going beyond what fans expect of him.
Businessman, because this is Terence the businessman talking, right? They got to pay the cheddar to make it better, right?
For sure. All money ain't good money, so you got to know that.
Okay, fair enough. I hate to use the word easy, but at times it did feel like you were, having a really easy time out there. Were you expecting it to play out that way?
Listen, it's never easy,
Stephen A. Smith never holds back on sports takes, and boxing is no exception. When he praised Terence Crawford for becoming a champion for weight classes, it wasn't just casual talk. It was recognition of something rare in today's boxing scene, at a time when many fighters avoid switching divisions because of the risks. Crawford's success across for weights puts him in a league of his own. Stephen A. highlighted that this dominance proves Crawford's physical talent, sharp skills, mental toughness, and relentless drive to test himself against the best.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion, 3 times over, 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford.
Roy Jones Jr., a legend who knows the challenges of moving through weight classes, had big praise for Terence Crawford. He said that in Crawford's fight with Canelo Alvarez, Terence showed flashes of both Floyd Mayweather and Erislandy Lara to fighters who gave Canelo serious problems in the past. Roy pointed out that Crawford's gift is his ability to study, learn, and adapt tactics from others. But what makes him special is how he doesn't just copy, he turns those moves into his own style. That kind of flexibility, Jones explained, separates Crawford from fighters who stick to one plan and struggle at the highest level.
Canelo Alvarez has been a great fighter his whole career. People like Erislandy Lara gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. People like Floyd Mayweather also gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. But Bud is more fierce, more fearsome and more angrier and more meaner than both of those guys. So if they showed you the blueprint, Bud gonna go out there, take that blueprint and do even more with it, which is what Bud did. So it was never a question in my mind whether Bud really was going to outbox me, just if he could take the punch. And right away he showed, bam, he could take the punch. So I knew from that point, if he just slow him down, which he did, he'd be okay. Then late in the fight, what other people still didn't see, late in the fight, Bud started hitting Canelo's body. One of those body shots, I think about the 7th or 8th round, hurt Canelo. I was like, whoa. Bud hit him in the right spot there, and he got Canelo's respect with that too. So Bud fought a very, very awesome fight, fought a beautiful fight, very tactical.
Very controlled.
Yes, it was a beautiful fight for boxing.
It was a beautiful fight. Bud got hit with some shots.
He did.
He got hit with some single shots going out. He's going out, and Canelo, if he has you trapped in the corner or along the ropes, it's typically 1 to 2 big shots. You know that if you've watched him.
Yep.
So you could tell Crawford, as he was going out, he knew the one shot was coming, and several times it landed. He even got hit with a 2-piece. I don't remember what round it was, an uppercut right hand that Crawford took well. So when you started seeing him absorb the shots, if you're Team Crawford, you don't want him to take that shot. But if you started seeing that, now you know that, okay. And I think that's what gave Crawford the green light to stay there a little bit longer.
He smiled about it.
He smiled about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that smile can be a lie, and sometimes that smile can mean what I think it meant for Crawford, which is, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was.
The idea of Terence Crawford facing Floyd Mayweather, even in an exhibition, has sparked heated debate. Some argue it could hurt Crawford's legacy, saying that after massive wins over stars like Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez, taking on Mayweather now might look more like a money grab than a true legacy fight, since Floyd's recent bouts have been seen as paydays rather than historic moments. Critics worry Crawford could risk how he's remembered. On the other hand, many believe Crawford's legacy is already set in stone, and stepping in with Mayweather would only add an exciting new chapter to his legendary career.
For Terence Crawford, it's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy. This is what was being said, right? This is what people perceived Terence Crawford was just attempting to cash out.
For Terence Crawford, some people claim this fight is more about cashing in and chasing greatness. They say he's focused on boosting his bank account, not his legacy. When fans compare Crawford's career to Floyd Mayweather's, the debate gets tricky. Floyd did beat huge names, but critics argue the timing, like facing Canelo when he was still young or Pacquiao. When he was injured in 2015, he also rarely gave rematches, especially not to Pacquiao, which left unanswered questions. Crawford, on the other hand, has taken on opponents at their peak and beaten them. That's why the debate continues. Was Floyd's greatness built on unmatched skill? Or was it helped by perfect timing and smart matchmaking?
Floyd Mayweather is still greater than Terence Crawford. We need to really talk about this now. A lot of you guys are putting Crawford a bit too high. If you want to say Crawford could beat Floyd, I'm more open to that conversation. But when you're lining up the careers, I'm going to say Floyd every time. While they're both 5 division, Bud has become 3-time undisputed, but he's only fought 10 world champions to Floyd's 25 world champions. You can't take away the 5 division, 3-time undisputed. In terms of accolades, yeah, he probably gets the nod over Floyd. I say their accolades are about relative, considering Floyd Mayweather won Fighter of the Decade as well. But when you get to the resumes, Pacquiao, Oscar, Canelo, Cotto, Mosley, Castillo, Marquez, Zab, Gotti, Hatton, and Corley. There's probably way more people that this guy just didn't name. And then when you get to Bud's resume, not saying it's just bad, but only names that's really worth mentioning is going to be Spence and Canelo. It's not a knock on Bud. Bud was not able to make those fights early on in his career. But I got to tell you guys what it is. Bud's resume just doesn't line up with Floyd's. Take their top 20 wins. Bud don't even got 20 wins to really sit here and name. Floyd got a good 20-something plus. Bud probably got about 10 wins that we could really sit here and name. Floyd's still greater than Bud, in my opinion.
Tony Jeffries, a respected boxing voice, believes Floyd Mayweather's true weapon wasn't just his defense or speed, it was his mindset. He explained that Floyd always carried unshakable belief in beating anyone, and that mental strength made him so dangerous. Even in close fights, his sharp boxing IQ gave him the edge. Floyd could read opponents quickly, adjust on the fly, and stay calm under pressure. Jeffrey said it was this mental control, paired with his technical skill, that made Floyd seem untouchable, and why he retired with a perfect record.
Strong mindset, they're really confident, they really believe in themselves, but you need more than that mindset. You need to have the full package of everything that I'm talking about, what Floyd has got.
Fighters should only want to get better. The more you win, the more you should work harder. If you think about losing, you're going to lose. All I ever thought about was winning. So that's all I know.
Floyd would visualize his success before he even stepped into the ring. There was no alternative to him but winning. And this mindset isn't just for boxing, it's for all walks of life. And I've actually done a full video talking about how I used this mindset of visualization to win my Olympic medal. And it was an absolute game changer. Now, Floyd used to use this mindset to ease the pressure that he put himself under. And he made himself think like, I'm not under any pressure right now, where he was under immense pressure.
Pressure either makes you or break you. Well, you see where I'm at, so it's obvious that I'm the type of athlete or I'm the type of entertainer that can deal with pressure. There's never no pressure.
Now, if you watch his fight in 2013 when he fought Canelo Alvarez, Canelo came in a young, strong, undefeated fighter. But by round 2, Floyd kind of had him figured out. He was reading Canelo's jab. He would slip outside and then come back with a clean counter punch, then move his feet and get out of the way. He basically had the full fight under control, and he was controlling the full rhythm of the fight. He was forcing Canelo to fight at his pace. And this is what he would do in all of his fights. He would get his opponent to do what he wanted them to do without their opponent even realizing it, which is what we call boxing IQ. Now, even though I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather personally, because of the time when I did meet him, what he said to me made me just feel like this guy is a piece of...
Boxing fans are always hungry for big matchups, and one that's getting a lot of buzz is Terence Crawford versus David Benavidez. Benavidez brings serious size, power, and relentless pressure, the kind of tools that could really test Crawford in ways we haven't seen before. Many see it as a high-risk, high-reward showdown that could push Crawford to new limits. While nothing is confirmed yet, the excitement speaks volumes. Fans want real, legacy-defining fights, not just flashy exhibitions. Crawford versus Benavidez would be skill versus size, strategy against raw power. Exactly the kind of clash fans dream about.
Not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majimov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7", with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2", with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
Comparing Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford is almost impossible. Both faced elite opponents in their eras and both looked dominant. Floyd's flawless record and defensive brilliance defined his time, while Crawford's ability to move up in weight and still dominate is equally remarkable. The challenge is that they fought in different eras under different circumstances, making a true comparison unfair. What's certain, though, is that both men set the standard for boxing greatness.
Oh my goodness, I said that was gonna happen. If Crawford was to win, we're gonna be seeing a lot of these debates on whether or not Floyd Mayweather or Terence Crawford is gonna be better. Now this is gonna be a debate for a long time. I'm talking about one of those debates like LeBron versus MJ, Messi versus Ronaldo. It's one of those. And the thing is, I can get behind it. Let me go ahead and say this. When it comes to resume, I do think we give Floyd Mayweather the edge. I mean, he beat a bunch of champions. He reigned for a long time. While Crawford, his resume is heavily criticized, and he's just not getting, his kind of respect for beating Earl Spence and Canelo Alvarez. But if we're talking strictly about the skills, this is where things get really tough to talk about. I think a fair assessment of this matchup would be Floyd Mayweather wins from 135 and 140, while Crawford wins from 147 to 154. And I say that because I feel like Floyd's style changed once he got to welterweight. He became a more defensive fighter, and he just wasn't as much focused on offense. And knowing this, I feel like Crawford would have had a much better chance of handling him. And we all know, Crawford was an absolute monster at welterweight. But hey man, like I said, this is going to be a debate for a very long time. I can't wait to hear all the talk about it. But I'm curious on your thoughts. Who do you think wins in the fight? Floyd or Terence Crawford? Let's talk about it and follow me for more boxing talk.
Greg Hackett's reaction to Terence Crawford's win over Canelo said it all, by pointing out that Canelo had long been seen as the best in the sport. Hackett reminded fans just how feared Canelo was for years. So when Crawford didn't just beat him, but dominated him, it marked a turning point. In Hackett's view, Crawford is now the shark in the water, the fighter everyone wants to avoid. That victory didn't just add to his record, it shook up the entire boxing world and made Crawford the hunter at the top of the game.
You gotta remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, you know, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Damn. Like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. There's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit gotta make sense. Like you said, you be the shark, you be the wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yes, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me it don't make sense. But that's what yo, is that proof? All right, you got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend. But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah, get a line of suits. Get a line of suits, get your money. Yeah, go away and get the easy money. You ain't gotta sweat no more.
What's up,
not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat.
What's that?
He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's cause when a guy see himself up here and then fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he like, man, this ain't even that.
Crawford's win over Canelo Alvarez was a moment that changed everything. His victory over Errol Spence had already silenced many critics, showing he could dominate every second of a big fight. But beating Canelo, a fighter many believed was untouchable, pushed him to another level. Experts now agree, after those wins, there's no debate left. Crawford has secured his place among boxing's all-time greats, and his ability to conquer champions across multiple weight classes proves he's truly one of a kind.
But I think there was enough action, and I think Crawford displayed his skill enough, even to someone with not the most trained eye, that they know they saw a very high-level athlete perform something at a very high level last night. I think he gained the sports world's attention last night and respect. He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, but then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay, I saw somebody like they're squabbing, like they're this is a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't. When James was talking about the great Floyd Mayweather, Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, you know, he's not gonna. But Crawford didn't do that.